Hi guys, this is a new iPower clip and today we're gonna talk about existentialism. My name is Tanya and this is the crew. This is Sharon, Dean, Reese, and Ian.
Hey guys.
And I guess Reese is going to start.
Yeah, well, yeah. The thing is, a lot of people, both on the social network, have been like talking about it, and a lot of people have been mailing and commenting about it too, like asking us to do, like, discuss something into the direction of existentialism. And we thought it would be interesting to discuss the whole existentialism concept, the whole existentialism topic, in a very logical, sort of scientific way, and really look at, look at it from a really rational, just totally non-religious or supernatural point of view.
Yeah, but on top of that, we do want to say that this is not in any way related to iPower per se. You know, what we're going to say here is what we believe to be, a logical explanation or philosophy behind existentialism. But it's not in any way related to iPower. It's not the opinion or the voice of iPower. It's our personal opinion. That's just, very important.
Yeah, indeed. The way we look at it, because we've had a lot of discussions about it ourselves as well, and kind of what we always, come down to, what we conclude is that you can only really think about what do you think, what is real, what are you sure of that is really logically, scientifically true, because you can doubt about everything. You can say, look, am I really here? Am I dreaming this? Is this tree real? And is all of this, am I experiencing what is really reality? But you can actually take that a step further. You can ask yourself, am I real? Do I exist as a real person? Is this what I am? The person or the mind in this brain, is that what I am? But you can even go further than that and say, like, look, even the fact that I have a brain is a hypothesis. It's all just, stuff that's being deducted from what you experience. And the only thing that you can actually really say that is absolutely true is that you experience. It's not me, because that's already something that's already a theory. What you can say for sure is that you experience whatever you are. Are you the brain? Are you the soul, the mind?
That's your point of view, maybe, but I think that even the experience itself, I'm not even sure about that, because I look at it like that. Experience, you can only have an experience when you look in a time-space interval, and when you talk about time, is when do you experience? Now? What you experienced yesterday, do you experience that? I mean, it's all questions you can ask yourself. And even if you look in a scientific way, what's the smallest moment you can have as a human being, and can you experience in that way? I want to give an example, because a lot of people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people that watch this clip say, what are you talking about? I'm just going to give a simple example with these three pineapples. What you have is when you're born, and when you're not very structured, and all your conscience and all that stuff is not very structured, what you think is that you are the center of everything. You don't see a difference between you and your environment. You think that everything is in function of you, and
right,
that everything surrounds you. That's why also a lot of kids, when they're very small, they think they turn invisible when they close their eyes, because they think that everything is a result of them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you grow up, you go to the second phase, where you start to see the world as something separately. As something separately, as a how do you say it, as a reality that lives next to you, whether you die or whether you live. And then in a third stage, you start to so you got yourself, then you got the people around you and all that stuff, and the world. And then in a third phase, you start to actually project yourself in the second phase and start to look at you. So to give a very simple example, what you actually do as a person, when you project yourself and say, yeah, this cup of coffee or this tree still exists even if I'm not here, you start to project yourself in another being that can, interact with this tree and can experience it. But the thing is that the tree wouldn't be there in the first place when you wouldn't be born. That's the thing. What's the base of everything you see around you is the fact that you experience it, and you can question the experience. You can question whether it's real or not, saying like, yeah, am I running around? Because if you look, what is time? I mean, just to give you a simple example, because people can say, oh, what, are you a little bit crazy? Just to give you a little example, when do you live? Is it now? Because when you say now, it's already over. I mean, just to give you a simple example, when do you live? What is experience? Is it yesterday? No. Does yesterday exist? Did it exist? When you look at in a time interval and you take the moment now, it's too small to experience. You can only experience in a time interval of, I don't know what it is, 1 millisecond or something like that, because you have all kind of process in your head. When you go smaller than that, experience is not even possible. The experience is a totally time-related thing, and since time, actually, you could say that only now exists. Mm-hmm. And even now, how small is now? I mean, it's a very abstract thing. Life is very abstract, and that's why this is very complex stuff, but I'll try to explain. So, if you say that the experience is the base of the entire world around you, then why would that end, or why wouldn't that exist in another way, or whatever? If your experience is the base of everything, you could have any experience, you could have whatever you want, and if the world is a result of that experience, who says that when you die in the world, that your experience disappears? If you understand what I mean.
The thing is, just look at the experiences as, you know, sort of like a spectrum. Experiences is all that exists. No matter how you imagine it, you can imagine it as a grid of like where every sort of block or pixel is a possible experience, or a color palette in which every color is an experience. And the only thing that you are going through, seemingly, because now we're talking also about memory, which is hypothetical, is that you seem to go through a bunch of experiences. So you can say like, you know, time maybe only exists in memory, but that's where it does seem that it exists. And my memory seems to connect a bunch of experiences, and that line, that's all that time is. It's a hypothetical line in, you know, your memories, which are also hypothetical. But you once told me something that was pretty funny, because I thought that really made it really clear to me, and that was that you look at, for example, experiences as a color palette in which every experience is a color. And for example, sometimes when you do something or you go someplace where you've been in the past and you kind of feel like you're reliving certain moments, you kind of feel like you're in that same atmosphere, and you say like, hey, this feels like the same, like it was then. What you are then is you're living like a color that looks a lot like the color you had then. So it's kind of like the experiences are alike because they are close to each other in this whole spectrum of experiences. I'm just saying that because that really made it clear to me, like...
Yeah, but because you could even go a step farther and ask yourself, if you experience a certain moment exactly the same as you experienced it 1 year ago, what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? Is it, are you not...
Yeah.
Is it not exactly the same thing that is happening?
It's like a pixel on your screen. When it's green and it has the same data, and you have it like 10 hours later, exactly the same green point on that screen, you could ask yourself, isn't that the same pixel?
If you look at everything with experience as the only real, you know, starting point and building block for theories, it's also really interesting when you look at life and death, because life and death is all, I mean, it's all concepts that people have conjured up, and if the only real truth is that you're experiencing, well, you know, who's to say that that experience stops when you die? I'm not talking about spirituality. I'm actually talking about the fact that you can't even be sure that a second, a millisecond, whatever ago, that you existed then. If I can't say for sure that I existed like a second ago, I can't even say for sure that I was myself a second ago. I could have been Tanya, for example, a second ago. Why? Because
you should have shown more cleavage.
I mean, the thing is, if I was Tanya a second ago, I wouldn't know now, because now I am experiencing that I am Reese with the memories and with the body and with the life of Reese. So I can't say for sure who I was, you know, whenever in the past or in the future. And that also means that if other people experience that I die, who's to say that I will experience, being gone or anything like that? Maybe I will just be Tanya. And nobody will ever know. This doesn't change anything about the person, Reese, or about the person, Tanya, because persons are all just concepts that are hypothetical.
What you're talking about is the experience, the base of the experience, which is the base of life, actually, is actually life is a result of that experience, and you cannot, since the life is a product of the experience, you cannot say that when the product disappears, that the experience, which is the base, disappears as well. What?
Yeah, it's really, it gets pretty complicated. So what would you say? What would you say that is like the only actual truth?
The only thing you can be sure about is that you can't be sure about anything, but it's a little bit paradoxal. But it's the thing is, it's really hard to say this is the absolute truth. It's really extremely hard, and that's why you have to always, that's just my opinion. You always have to take stuff as something is, as a truth, to be able to build on it. But is that true? And for me, I take the reality as a truth. Mm-hmm. But if I think outside the box and I go outside the world and I think, is the world real and all that stuff? Then if I'm honest to myself, I would tell myself like, I can't be so sure about that thing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter whether all this is real or not. What matters is that if you're happy with who you are and what you believe in, even if all this is fake, mm-hmm. and even if your experience is fake, does it really matter for a good life? I mean, that's actually the real question you should ask.
That's the practical side of it. I mean, even if you can, on a purely philosophical way, never be sure that what you see is real, that you yourself are real. For practical reasons, and just to be able to lead a happy, normal life, you have to accept that it's real. You have to accept that the people you're talking to are real people, that this world is real, that you are real, because otherwise you malfunction. You can't properly function as a human being. So even the question isn't really, well, for me, the question isn't really, is it real or not? The question is, what should I think about and what should I accept in order to be happy, to have a complete and happy experience here.
Well, I want to sidetrack there just a little bit because, some people may respond to that and say, well, okay, then actually I can believe whatever I want, right? Just whatever it is that makes me happy, I just make sure that I believe it. But that's not really the case, because you have to make sure that what you believe is sustainable, is something that, won't in certain amount of time like hit you in the face and confront you with the fact like this isn't real and it's not working out for you. So you can't really take that theory and just use it in a way that you say,
that's why it's important that
I'll just live in my fantasy world.
That's important that you don't live in a fantasy world just like a theme. That's how
he's crazy. We don't know him personally. He's nuts.
At the end, it's not really important whether or not how you look at life. Are you a spiritual being? Are you just a single point in the vast nothing and everythingness that exists, that it just experiences? All that stuff doesn't really contribute all that much to your happiness.
To the daily facts, your daily stuff you do. I mean, exactly. You can philosophy. You can go away with your ideas and go around the universe and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when someone comes to you, a thing, and he poons your ass or whatever, that's the reality. If you know what I mean. And that's another situation. All the philosophy and all that experience stuff is not gonna help you a lot in the real world, if you understand what I mean. Is that
at the end of the day, you're a pro or you're a noob, that's life. No, the thing is, what's actually important, the core that's really going to make you happy is just that you make the choices and that you do the things that are consistent with what you believe in, that you work on making sure that you have, that you know what you believe in and what you don't believe in, and that you act consistently and that you stay open-minded.
And that's high power. That's high power. You see, all the philosophies, when it just comes to high power, you see, we have thought it all around. We went to the galaxies, to even the star. What is it?
This is where you cut. This is where the video ends. This is too freaky.
For those who didn't know yet and who think we're just a bunch of wacko lunatics, iPower is a lifestyle that's based on 3 principles. It's being open-minded, active thinking, and putting your own vision into practice. So while we may have sounded completely crazy in this clip, it actually makes sense, you know, the thing that we're actually working on. So there's a whole sort of community, social network going on around that lifestyle. Check it out, it's at ipower.ning.com. And we're just making our own iPower clips about it and, you know, discussing our take on things. If you guys want like us to discuss certain other things, make a video response. Talk about something you find interesting and just respond to our clip. We check it out, we show your video response in the next clip if possible, if we have the time for it, and we'll discuss it.
I guess it's time to say goodbye to Tanya. Experience, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Tanya.
Bye-bye, Tanya.
Bye, Tanya.
Is she real? Is she not?
Yeah,
Yeah, am I real?
Maybe I'm not.